Hey, what's up y'all, it's Charlie. On today's episode I'm going to be showing y'all how to make my delicious New Orleans Praline Cinnamon Rolls from scratch. Now these are basically cinnamon rolls that are made from scratch with a couple of tips and tricks in there to make them taste moist and delicious. And once the cinnamon rolls have cooled until they're warm, we're going to top it with a gooey, creamy, and delicious praline topping. This, in New Orleans, we call it pecan candy or pecan candy. But in this case, instead of making it into a candy, we make it into an icing instead. This recipe calls for you to make about 8 cinnamon rolls. Absolutely delicious. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, here's all what you'll need to make your praline cinnamon rolls. Let's get started with our ingredients. You'll need some all-purpose flour, sugar, brown sugar, salt, rapid rise instant yeast, unsalted butter, whole milk at room temperature, evaporated milk at room temperature, 1 large egg at room temperature, vanilla extract, butter extract, ground cinnamon, pecan halves or chopped pecans, whichever one you prefer, and some confectioner's sugar. And for your tools, you will need some parchment paper, a rolling pin, a pastry brush, and to bake your cinnamon rolls, you will need an 11 by 17 inch baking pan. And there we have it. Alrighty, let's get straight to it. So in our stand mixer bowl, we're going to add 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/4 cup of sugar, 1 1/2 teaspoons of instant yeast, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now I'm going to just go ahead and give this a quick stir. Now for our wet ingredients, here I have a separate medium-sized bowl. I'm going to add 2/3 cup of warm whole milk. Temperature of the milk should be about 120 degrees Fahrenheit. And to that, I'm going to add 5 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter and 1 large egg at room temperature. Now I'm going to take my whisk and just stir this until combined. Alright, in our stand mixer bowl, we have the dry ingredients in there, and we fitted the stand mixer with the dough hook attachment. Now we're going to pour the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. Mix this on a medium-low speed or according to your stand mixer's instructions on mixing doughs for about 4 to 6 minutes. Alright. As you can see, the dough kind of sticks to my hands just a little bit. But that's okay. That'll be solved when I add the flour on the surface of my table. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and lightly flour the surface of my table. Now you're going to add the dough on top of the table. Alright, now I'm going to add some dough onto my hands. And from there, I'm going to knead the dough for about 2 minutes. Now I'm going to let the dough rest for about 15 minutes. Alright, now let's make the cinnamon sugar filling. So in this small bowl, I'm going to add 1/3 cup of sugar, 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 1 1/2 tablespoons of cinnamon, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. Now I'm going to just go ahead and give this a quick stir. Alright, here in this small little container, I have 3 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter. And to that, I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract and 1/2 teaspoon of butter extract. Now I'm going to go ahead and just stir that together. And this is going to play a role in our filling for our cinnamon rolls. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and brush some melted unsalted butter onto this 11 by 17 inch baking pan. Next, we're just going to add a sheet of parchment paper right on top and just spread that around. And from there, our pan is ready. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and just flatten this out, flatten it out into a rectangle. Just sprinkle a little flour on top. I'm going to just take my rolling pin. Now you're going to roll this out into a 18 inch long by 13 inch wide rectangle. And there we go. Alright, here we have our butter mixture with the pastry brush. I'll just take the butter. I'm just going to spread that on top of the dough. Careful not to put any butter onto the edge on each side horizontally. I would say about 1/4 of an inch just on the horizontal sides, on the edges right here. Next up, we're going to sprinkle our cinnamon sugar mixture right on top. Careful not to put any on the outer edge right here, about 1/4 of an inch. Leave that untouched. Use all of the cinnamon sugar mixture. And next you're going to take your dough and you're just going to roll the dough towards you like you're rolling a jelly roll. Now I've turned the dough around here so you can see this is the edge right here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take my fingers and I'm just going to press down onto the edge of the dough. Hopefully you can see. I'm going to straighten it out, make sure that it's good. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and cut the dough. I already have it pre-cut right here, as you can see here. And I have it about 2 inches thick. Okay, now about 1.5 to 2 inches in thickness is perfect. Alright. Now you can cut it to any size that you want. And this is how it looks when we're done. And from there, we're just going to take them and add it into your baking pan. Now these do look a little tall, but when they rise, they're going to spread out. So make sure that they spaced out far enough. I don't want them touching. Now I'm going to cover this. Now we're going to let these rise in a warm spot for 1 hour and 30 minutes. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 350 degrees. Alright, and this is how our cinnamon rolls look after we let them sit in a warm spot for 1 hour and 30 minutes. And as you can see, they're kind of spread out a little bit. That's exactly what we want. So let's go ahead and bake them. Now I'm going to go ahead and place this into a preheated 350 degree oven on the middle rack. Bake for 15 minutes. Alright, it's been about 15 minutes now for our cinnamon rolls. Now let's go ahead and remove this out of the oven. Now you're going to let these cool for about 10 minutes or until they're warm. Preheat your fire to medium heat. Alright, now let's get started with making the praline icing. So in a medium sized pot, we're going to add 1 1/4 cups of evaporated milk, 1/4 cup of sugar, 2 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1/4 teaspoon of butter extract, 1 cup of confectioner's sugar, and a sprinkle of salt. Little sprinkle, that's all. Now I'm going to take my whisk and just give this a quick stir. Let this simmer for 6 minutes, stirring occasionally. Add a 1/2 cup of chopped pecans. Now I've taken the pecan halves that I had and I just chopped them up in a food processor. And I'm going to just add that in now. I'm going to just go ahead and give this a quick stir. Now I'm going to let this simmer for about 2 to 3 minutes, stirring occasionally. Alright, it's been about 3 minutes now. And our icing is done. Now it's a little bit more thick than usual, and it's going to get even thicker as it cools, so you want to keep that in mind. It might look a little thin right now, but it's going to get thick over time. Turn your fire off. Now you're going to let this cool for about 12 to 15 minutes, stirring occasionally. Now you want to keep in mind that as the mixture cools, the more thick it will be. Alright, now I let my mixture cool for about 12 minutes, and as you can see, it has thickened even more. It's the right consistency that I'm looking for here. So now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to just take the mixture and just pour it right on top of the cinnamon rolls. Now once you pour the icing on top, You're going to let it sit for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then after that, they are ready to be served. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, praline cinnamon rolls made by a New Orleans native. If you like my channel, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell button if you want to be notified of my videos. Now I have an official website for all of my recipes, including for these delicious homemade praline cinnamon rolls. You can go to www.charliethecookandrews.com. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter under the name Charlie the Cook Andrews. Stay tuned as Charlie's Taste Test is coming up next. Can't wait. Now it's time to go ahead and take a bite. Y'all look at that. Oh my goodness. Oh. It's a little messy, but hey. Oh man. Mmm. Woo. Y'all, this is so good. The cinnamon roll is soft, it's moist, wonderful cinnamon flavor, and they have that praline topping. Oh my god. Man, the praline topping is nice, it's gooey, and it's really, really good. It tastes just like pecan candy. You know, it's just that it's icing. Oh, it's so good. So, give the recipe a try. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, have a great one. Peace.